Hi, this is Mike. I kind of not really a machining video today, but sort of. I'm going to make a holder for a Kool Mist. A couple months ago I got a new mill. On my old one I had a very nice shelf made for it, place to mount the valve, everything else. But my new one, there's really no good place to mount it. I've had to use it a couple times, and setting it on a stool is a really, really lame way to go. So this is part woodchuck, as Tom Lipton would call it, a little bit of wood. I'm going to then thread a little bar of aluminum, and it's going to just screw in where the lifting eye goes. So hopefully it'll turn out alright, and shouldn't take too long. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, this is about as basic as it could get. Chunk of looks like oak. I don't know, it was laying around. It was an old cutoff. A few little scraps of plywood. I just cut them all the same height so that at least it would look sort of decent. Basically just gonna put a little screw and glue on that. The Kool Mist box will set in here, drill a hole in the middle, take a piece of 3/4 aluminum, which I have a bunch of these cut-offs. I'm just gonna cut a thread on it, drill and tap one in, screw this into the mill, and then I'll put a bolt on there to hold this on there. So get going. Shouldn't take too long. I'll find a couple clamps now. Okay, a little Wolfcraft clamps, combination drill and counterbore for the screws. So this will be really quick and dirty. Just a little glue on there. Fine furniture, this will not be. Just a little glue. I should just drill the holes first, but I'm not, because it just doesn't matter very much. So, just clamp in place, drill it, put a couple screws in each one, lather, rinse, and repeat. That's pretty good. Holes are obviously about as non-critical as you can get. They're just right now, wherever the clamp isn't. Some quickie drywall screws. That one's good. I'll move this clamp over just a hair. Stand up pretty good. I'll do the other 3 sides, be right back. Okay, I got our little box put together here. Like I said, nothing fancy, but plenty sturdy. Just some screws, random, you know, kind of just guesstimated what about halfway through the piece would be. So, should be pretty good. There's extra glue out of here. So one thing we still got to do is drill it for a bolt in the middle. I found a nice flat head so I can countersink this so it'll sit flush. It's going to be really long. I do not want to tap an inch or whatever of threads into the thing, so I'm just going to make it, give it about a 1/2 inch of thread. So it's going to be countersunk, so we'll give it an 1.25 inches overall. And we are not doing anything fancy. Vise, hacksaw, and a grinder. So we'll just give this a close approximation here. And go with one more tooth. Of course I drop it, but that's alright. Grind this real quick. Use a belt sander on it. Okay, just cut it off, hit it with a belt sander, so we're good to go there. No fancy measurements for this, we'll just lay a rule across the corners and just drill a hole at the intersection. That's about all that's required for this. High precision is not needed, especially since it's wood, which will change by the time I can walk to the next room anyway. So put our little bit away before we lose it. Drill this 17/64 so we have a little bit of clearance. Okay, that's good. I'm going to get a big old countersink in a second. Okay, it's just a single flute, one of the kind with a hole in it, 82 degree. I had a nice 3 flute, but it's 90 degrees, so that won't work for this. So anyway, nothing fancy again. See if that's deep enough, and it is. If you can see that, it'll just stand up in there, so it should. Drop in, sits a little bit below the surface, so we're good. So I'll move over to the lathe, put this away real quick, clean up, and I'll move over to the lathe and we'll make our little, I don't know what you call it, mounting bar. Back in a minute. Okay, we're over at the lathe. So this is the lifting eye that came out of the machine. It says 3/4 on it, so I know that. Standard pitch for a coarse thread is 10. Take our pitch gauge and probably can't see, but it's definitely right on 10. This is a little piece of 3/4 inch 6061 aluminum. This is cut off from a project from last summer. I had I don't know, a dozen of these things. Anyway, that's what we're going to make our thing out of. Just make it a couple inches long. Probably don't even need that. Maybe 1.5 inch. I don't know, whatever. Something random. I'm going to use the Hardinge speed chuck today. 5C collet. I already put a 3/4 inch collet in there. So stick that in a little ways. And I gotta find my apron because it's got my scale. Be right back. Okay. Got my apron, which I should have had on anyway. So what I need to do is I'm going to stick this out. So our thread on here is 1.25 inches. That's more than enough. It's not going to hold anything. So we'll just stick this out. I'm just going to stick it out 2 inches. It's about right where it is. That way we'll have enough for cutting off and making it easy. So snug that up. Before I do any turning, I'm going to set the gearbox up for the threads, so I don't have to do it later. I don't know what's on it right now. According to our little chart, I need a 60 tooth on the top and the bottom gear. So I don't know what I cut last time. Take a quick look. Probably not going to show all of this. There's actually a video just on the change gears for this lathe if you're interested. It's a lot like a lot of other lathes. So it looks like I've got a 60 on top and a 54 on the bottom. So I'll change that real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Gearbox is all set up, at least I hope it is. It says here U1 and then B and D. One thing, and I don't know if you do this or not, I do. The last thing I cut in here was brass. There's a lot of little tiny chips all over the place. I wiped the ways down, but the lead screw gets a lot of stuff in the teeth. If it's not embedded in there, just turning it on at a decent speed and just letting the brush follow through will clean it up pretty good. A friend of mine showed me a trick once that I thought was really good. It's really nasty. He gets a piece of the plastic thread you use on a weed eater, a weed whacker, and just put it in there and just let it follow down, and that will go right down to the bottom of the thread and it'll get out anything. Obviously you don't have to do that too often. So anyway, I'm going to chase it real quick with this brush. Just 10 threads per inch. It goes pretty fast. This will clear it out real quick. Not like this is a super precision thread, but there's no reason to embed junk in half nuts that doesn't need to be there. Indeed, you gotta get brass out of there. Okay, so I've got to turn my compound. Last time I was using this, I had it set at 90 degrees, so we'll do that real quick. This guide on this one is not very accurate. It's not very good. Anyway, I have in the past measured it, and I know you can't see this, but I've got a scribe line on here, and I move it over to 29.5, and it's good to go. So I'll lock that down real good. And then that means my tool post is at the wrong angle. So one way to square it up real quick is to just use the tailstock. I know I'm probably in the way. Just run the quill out of ways, and then I just hold it up against there, tighten it up, check to see if it moved, which it did a little. Okay, so that's good and square. I could indicate it, but it's going to be good enough. So we'll get the tailstock out of the way. The last thing I've got to do is I typically keep the thread chasing dial disengaged just to keep dirt out of it, keep wear off of it. And like the other bit, should probably clean it. You can see in there it's definitely got some chips since it's only one bolt that holds it on. That's easy. We'll just brush them out of there real quick. Okay. Good there. Stick this back on. And I don't know if you can see that or not. No, you can't. Let me. Okay, move the camera a little bit. Just to show. I don't even know if you can see it. Anyway, the gears engage. This just swings over to get it engaged. Obviously, you don't want it super tight. You just don't want it sloppy. And this one tends to move when you tighten it, like it just did. So I'm trying to just set it up against there and snug it up. And there it is. You don't want it deflecting the lead screw. It's just a hair tight. I'm going to just bump it with a soft hammer to see if we can get a little clearance without having to loosen it. It definitely moved. Okay, there's just a little bit of clearance in there. You don't want it sloppy. Certainly don't want it to accidentally disengage from the lead screw. That would be very, very bad. Anyway, let me reset the camera. Okay, just two things. I'm going to turn it just slightly. The major diameter for a 3/4 10 is 736 to 748, and this stuff's just a hair over 750. So we're going to take it down to like 745. Partly because it's a little bit big, and partly just to make sure that it's 100% round, although the collet tends to run round. I've got a, I think it's a CCGT insert tool. These things are made for aluminum. It is really sharp, and it does a wonderful job on aluminum. So we'll just so everybody spot my idiocy. I put the tool post on 90 degrees the wrong direction. So let me square it, turn it, and re-square it. Chuck out of the way this time. Okay. Let's try this again with it facing the right direction this time. Make sure that's all clean. Center it up. Comes in a little bit. Okay, and hold it up against the tailstock. Alright. Nice and square. Get that out of the way. Okay, try that again. So just take a quick facing cut. Just a skim down to, it's about 745. Right now it's about 752, 53 maybe. So just, take 7/8 thousandths off, not very much. Obviously, before I do that, I am going to slow the feed rate down because I set it for 10 threads per inch, it's going to go really fast. We're about 3 over, we want to be about 5 under. Now I'm just going to take 8 thousandths, and that's all it's going to need. Except like I said, to turn the dial the right way. There we go. This insert sleeve is finished like glass. I don't know. It ain't showing up very well. I'll reset it here in a minute. Okay, we're at 746. Good enough. Good enough. All right, put a quick chamfer on this. And next I'm going to drill and tap a 1/4 20 hole in the end before I thread it, I believe. I'm going to put a good chamfer since we're going to thread on this. Pretty big. Yeah, I don't think any of that's showing up hardly. So just drill quick, pilot hole and drill it in there about 1/2 inch, 3/4 maybe. Dial and get it about right. A little WD-40 on it. About 1/2 inch. We'll go just a little bit more. About 750, which is plenty for what we're going to do. Let me grab a tap. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm make sure I drilled this deep enough real quick. That one won't fit. Hang on. My old Pneumatic will fit down that hole. 780, okay, that's good. So we're going to cheat and just kind of power tap this. I'm not going to put it in there super tight in case I do something stupid and bottom it. That has been known to happen. So we're going to go about 3/4. It's about most of the way back on the tap. So just to get it started, and I'll just use a bottoming tap on it. And that's about good. Alright, there's that. No harm done. So I've got a 1/4 20 spiral tap. And I forgot to turn the air compressor on earlier. And you know what? We need to put a chamfer on that too. Just a little one. So that it's got a nice easy start before I tap, before I finish the thread. Forgot that. Chase the thread to the bottom real quick. Okay, we're good. All right, let me move the camera and run thread down.